Okay, now J.K. Rowling has been branded Britain's nastiest novelist in a magazine this week over alienating her readers because of her views on gender identity.
So we're asking this morning, is J.K. Rowling really Britain's nastiest novelist, as this article claimed, or is she, in fact, a champion of free speech?
Joining us now, Amy Nickel Turner, who thinks J.K. is Britain's nastiest novelist, and Stephanie Davies-Arai, who thinks she's an advocate of free speech. Well, Stephanie, let's hear from you first of all. Why do you admire her for what she said? I mean, bear in mind, she hasn't written any of these things in her books as such. These are just comments that she makes in everyday life.
It's incredible, isn't it, that here's a woman who's vilified for writing really compassionately about trans people as well as women. And that's all she's done. But of course, she gets called nasty in a reversal. She is actually vilified and horribly bullied online. She gets rape threats, death threats, torture threats, and yet she's called the nasty one. I think J.K. Rowling is actually the most principled, ethical, and honest. She's true to her values. Writer, novelist in England, and she's a national treasure. We should be very, very proud of her.
Okay, so a national treasure, Amy Nickel Turner, but tell that to the cast of Harry Potter and everybody else now in this New Statesman article who think she's nasty.
Well, she will always be a national treasure to an extent because she has contributed so much to literature. No one's taking that away from her. I also would never, ever, ever stand by anyone sending her personal abuse. I've hated to see the doxing of her, of anyone like that. But whatever way you slice it and whatever way you interpret it, her gender critical politics, now they are nasty and they have had real world effects. I mean, I just think about the moment a few months ago when I heard somebody I know who's trans say they really are seriously considering leaving the country over everything, the societal shift in attitudes, the policy changes we're seeing. These gender critical thoughts, policies, opinions, they have a real world effect. And I think you can see them really clearly. If you think back to 2010 when Nadia Alma won Big Brother, she was celebrated. No one really cared that she was trans. We certainly didn't start calling her a biological man, which I'm seeing more and more commonly done. And cut forward to 2023, 115 negative stories are written about trans people every single month. These are the real world results of the sentiments that your other panelists and J.K. Rowling project and the misunderstandings that they peddle.
Gosh, so Stephanie Davies-Arai, you're responsible for this as well as J.K. Rowling. I thought a lot of people would say, actually, she's just a feminist sticking up for women's rights.
I don't understand why we're focusing on a small group of trans people here when the issue actually, like J.K. Rowling's issue, is women, protection of women and children. So we're saying rapists put in women's prisons. Is that kind? We're seeing a complete lack of services for women who've suffered sexual assault and rape that are women only. J.K. Rowling has set up a sexual assault survivor clinic in Edinburgh because there isn't one there anymore. Where I live in Brighton, there are no women-only services. So women who've suffered the worst crimes are self-excluding from services they need because to meet a man in there, it would be re-traumatizing. It doesn't matter how he identifies himself. He's still male and he's still perceived as a man.
This is what you're doing. You're saying you're a feminist whilst excluding a minority of very vulnerable women. You're talking about services that exclude a certain number of women. It's feminism 101 to not let your biology be your fate. Yet you're saying for this small, tiny number of women, their biology is their fate and they're not invited.
Well, you're showing the whole problem here is once we call men women, then we say, why aren't they allowed into women's services? The fact is they are male, and however you want to call them, trans women, whatever, they are male, and that is the important thing. It is their biological sex. So you have a man with a penis, getting changed in front of a teenage girl in a changing room. Is that fair? Is that what is right? We have to also think of protecting the need for privacy and the safety of girls and of women, and particularly women who've suffered sexual assault, women of different faiths who are not allowed to go, who can't go in mixed sex facilities. We have to protect the integrity of the female category in sport. Once we have mixed sex and we have to call men women, then women lose their rights and their protections in society. So nobody, and least of all J.K. Rowling, is prejudiced against trans people. What she is doing and what feminists are doing is saying we must also protect the existing rights of women and not allow those rights to be erased in favour of men who identify as women.
Okay, Stephanie, we've got to leave it there. So she's just saying that women need single...
Oh dear, I sneezed. Wasn't sure what's happening then.
Do you know, they say
Me.
it's impossible to sneeze on air because of the adrenaline, the fear of
Nonsense, you're not frightened enough.
That's my trouble. Sorry, I was just about to say, ladies, that J.K. Rowling, in defence of women who she believes just need single-sex spaces, or is it deeper than that, as Amy put it? Amy, Stephanie, very well argued. Thank you both very much indeed.